ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। नमः श्रीशङ्करानन्दगुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने नमः श्रीशङ्करानन्दगुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे सविलासमहामोहग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे। We have covered some ground here. First we saw how the cause of bondage is what? Avichara, durvichara, etc. And the cause of liberation from samsara is what? Enquiry, proper enquiry. Pramana vichara is the proper enquiry. And then we saw that. And then we also saw that the proper inquiry entails the nature, understanding the nature of Ishvara as the truth of oneself. We also saw that. Now, for that we have to understand the nature of Bhagavan, and the nature of Bhagavan, Para Atma, Brahman, Satchidananda. What is that? The here described as Advayaha, non-dual, Purnaha, not lacking anything, full. And then Anandaha, limitless, free, whole. That is the nature of Brahman. And what can you say? Let it be the nature of Brahman. What does it have to do with me? No, it is your own nature. That is why we are talking about this. It's not just Brahman's nature. Who is this Brahman? You. What is this Brahman? There can be no Brahman other than Atma, and that is pointed out here itself in the right at the beginning, that this Swamayaya Swayameva Jagat Bhutva Jivarupatah Pravishat. It's pointed out that this Jiva is nothing but Ishvara. Right in the beginning there is a Mahavakya. What is Mahavakya? Jiveshvarayoho Aikyamata Vakyam Mahavakyam. That sentence which unfolds the oneness between who? Jiva and Ishvara. That is called Mahavakya. Every Upanishad has it, and the Prakarana Granthas like this, Panchadashi, also have it. And so here, this same Bhagavan, this same Satchidananda, this consciousness, this Brahman entered into the whole Jagat. So we started off with three things. Jiva, who doesn't like the Jagat, who doesn't like other Jivas, who doesn't like Ishvara, who is away from all of them. We started with Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, three. And in this verse, all three have been swallowed up. All that remains is Advaya, Purna, what else? Ananda. That's all that remains. Everything else is completely and totally Swaha. It is a kind of a Mahayajna where everything is swallowed up. Like we saw in the Homa day before yesterday, you put the ghee You put the rice, you put the twigs, and after 1 second you say, where is this rice which I put? Gone. Where are the twigs? Gone. Where is the ghee? It has been swahad and burped up also. Nothing is there. So like that, just like the fire just takes away everything that is offered, similarly here, this is a jnana yajna. This is the yajna of knowledge, where the offering is what? One's own wrong notions, that is the ghee, and one's own self-loath, self-judgment, self-critique, self-hatred is poured into this fire of knowledge and allow for the ajnanam to be allowed to be consumed completely. So we started off with 3, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. And in the first one, what do we hear? This Ishvara alone is in the form of the Jagat. Satchidananda, consciousness, is in the form of the Jagat. And then this Ishvara alone, it has as though entered the body, the upadhi of all the jivas. If you ask how, swamayaya. Maya here, all knowledge, magic, really. We have one Maya Panchakam. What is that? Aghatita ghatana patiyasi Maya. Who is Maya? She who makes the impossible happen. That which is not at all possible, she makes it happen. So therefore it is seen as magic. Because you don't know. Everything in the world is like that. You don't know what is the truth of anything. You take a flower and then you say, okay, what is this flower? You don't know. If you point to the petals and say, is this flower? No, it's not flower. That's not flower, that's a petal. You point to the stem and say, is this flower? No, that's a stem. When you point inside the petal, there are some things growing. Is this flower? No, that's the stamen. Is this flower? No, that's the leaf. Is this flower? No, that's some other thing connected to the flower. It's not flower. Pray tell me, what is flower? Everything put together is the flower. How to put everything together? Can you put together? Yes, I can make nylon flowers. I can make velvet flowers. I can make crepe paper flowers for decoration. And what is that flower? A sad meme, a sad imitation of Ishvara. No, I put some, essential oil, I sprayed on the flower. Also again a sad imitation. From far it may look real. You go close, then also it may look real, and the smell is also coming out. Then you have a doubt, you touch the petal. Immediately the touch is the distinct factor that tells you this is human made. The touch of a real petal is the touch of Ishvara. And so like this, the whole universe is like that. It is a series of things somehow put together for a certain purpose. But if you start taking it apart and find out how it is put together, it does not at all, we cannot make it out at all. We absolutely cannot make out how it is put together. We can't replicate it. That is for sure. And so like this, we have a series of things. First of all, they are all put together. We don't know how they are put together. Secondly, the series of things which come under Maya, under the purview of this thing called Maya, another funny thing is, you don't know whether it is cause or effect. That which is the cause soon becomes the effect. Like even your shirt. Shirt is the cause. Shirt is the cause which keeps you warm and everything. Shirt is the cause of warmth. Shirt is the cause of shelter for the body. Shirt is like a house for the body that keeps it safe, keeps it warm. And then Suddenly, when you look at the shirt from the standpoint of cloth, fabric, what does the shirt become? Effect. Shirt becomes effect. Oh, fabric is the cause. Yay! It enjoys 2 minutes of sunshine, our fabric. And then what happens to the fabric? Then you look at it from the standpoint, the cause of the fabric also has cause. Fabric is not the ultimate cause. Then what is the cause of fabric? Yarn. Yarn is very happy now. Hey, I am in the spotlight. Make way. I am in the spotlight. And then the yarn also has a cause. Fibers. Fibers are twisted together, either mechanically by hand or through the machine. Fibers are twisted to make the yarn, and then after that what happens? Yarn also, fiber also has a cause. Dada. Fiber has a cause. What is the cause of fiber? Cotton, let us say. Cotton. Oh, cotton is the ultimate cause? No. Cotton is not the ultimate cause. Cotton also has a cause. The cotton bush. Oh, cotton bush is the ultimate cause. No. Why not? Because that too has a cause. What is the cause of cotton bush? Seed. What is the cause of cotton seed? Another bush. What is the cause of another cotton bush? Another cotton seed, yet another cotton seed, yet another cotton bush. Then we just have to remain here saying that all the time. We are in a place of infinite regress. Totally infinite regress. Can't help ourselves here. We have to, we either end up in infinite regress or we end up in Brahman. Which do you choose? Brahman, naturally. Naturally. We have to say that everything comes from Brahman, cotton tree, cotton seed, cotton bush, yarn, fiber, fabric, shirt, everything is ultimately the origin of everything is Brahman. We can say that straight away or go into a spin of infinite regress. This is Maya, Swamayaya. Because of this Maya is very difficult to fathom. And then, Pujya Swamiji's favorite set of terms. He would ask, what is tree? Then he would himself respond that, let us say, the definition of a tree is that which has treeness. That which has treeness is a tree. Sounds good to me. Okay. I can take this as a definition. That which has treeness. But so that means the treeness, is it a property of the tree? No, because I have already said what? That which has treeness. What is that which has treeness? So treeness, if treeness was intrinsic to the tree, I would not be saying that which has treeness. That which has treeness, so treeness is an attribute almost coming from outside what is called the tree. That which has treeness is tree. And what is that? That is Brahman. That's why the word that is very important in the Sanskrit language to refer to Brahman. Tat tvam asi. Tat means the cause of the universe. You. You are that cause of the universe. Tat is always used to talk about the ultimate. The ultimate. And what is that ultimate? You. It all ends in you. And so, that's why Jiva Rupataha Pravishat. And then what? The high and the low, the high bodies, celestial bodies, Vishnu, Vishnuvadi, Uttama Deheshu. Then what happens? Devatam bhajati, something like that, yeah. Pravishtaha devata abhavat. So this same consciousness, because of the Shakti of Maya, did this magic of occupying, so to speak, celestial bodies And who made the celestial bodies? Maya Shakti. What is this body called Vishnu? Yeah, as a devata, as someone to worship, as a manifestation of Bhagavan, one of the manifestations of Bhagavan, full of sattva, shuddha sattva incarnation. There is no malina there, there is nothing there except sattva. There is no ragadvesha. In order, if you want to run the world, you should have no ragadveshas. Then only you can be an effective manager of the world like Mahavishnu. You should have no ragadvesha, you should have no tension. That's why he lies down, I told you. Yeah. He's enjoying a massage all the time you look at him. One small kid asked me, 4 years old. She said, she's so clever. She said, why in all the pictures, Lakshmi ji is massaging Lord Vishnu's legs? Why can't he be massaging her? Yeah. 4 years old, these children of these days. Yeah. Questions which we never even thought of, they ask. This is not fair, Swamini ji. She called me, she made an international call on WhatsApp. Yeah. And she said, why? Why he only gets the massage and he's just, blissed out and everything. And I said, why? He's not massaging her. He should also massage her. They should take turns. I said, okay, now I'm in a fix. What to respond? I said, she doesn't need a massage. She doesn't need a massage. The word Lakshmi means all resplendence, all abundance. She is Purna. She doesn't need a massage. I left it at that. So, like this, he is running the world means Shuddha Sattva. And there is no she, there is no he. It's himself. Lakshmi is nothing other than him and Vishnu is nothing other than her. So you can say self-massage. That's all that is happening. That was too much to tell the kid. I didn't say that. I just left it at that. So then we have these highly evolved bodies such as Vishnu, Sattva incarnations. And who is responsible for Sattva? Maya. We told you it's all Prakriti. We are seeing the same thing in the Bhagavad Gita also. There is a nice synergy between the two texts. And so, occupying the various bodies called celestial bodies, for two reasons, these bodies are called celestial. First of all, they have a lot of sattva. Then if you go closer and ask the question, how come they have sattva? Then what is the answer? Karma. Lots of karma. What kind of karma? Punya. Punya karma. So much punya karma that it cannot be, the birth cannot be in any human realm. It has to be somewhere else in a celestial realm, divine realm like that. And we see this clearly in the Kathopanishad. Lord Yama talks about it. Lord Yama says he did the yajna. This is karma. Because of karma you get this Yamya Padavi. Yamya Padavi means the status of being Yama is gained through good karma. There is a recipe also. He named one yajna after Nachiketa, called it Nachiketagni. And this Nachiketagni, he himself says, Mayachita. And he praising Nachiketa, he says, you have no desire for anything. You are an 8-year-old boy. Here I am promising you celestial musicians, dancers, and a huge kingdom, the kind of which nobody has seen on earth. You can be famous with your subjects, you can be famous with your friends. And what does Nachiketa say? Tavaiva vahaha tavanritya gite. He also says, I'll give you lots of cars, chariots, vehicles, divine vehicles. celestial, heavenly vehicles. He says, keep your singers, dancers and vehicles with yourself. Don't give it to me. I don't want it. What I am wanting, you're not giving. You're keeping on deferring that and distracting me with all this. Give me this knowledge, he says. So Yama says, you have even surpassed me. And for a teacher to admit that, so look at how humble he is. So he says, Janami aham anityam shevadhihi. I knew when I was doing this yajna, you have to do this Nachiketa yajna 3 times in order to have a celestial body. So it is also dependent on karma, not just sattva. Sattva is also dependent on karma anyway. Through karma yoga, you become more and more sattvic. So Yama says, 3 times I did this. Everybody stopped me. Everybody said, don't do this. What, are you crazy? You don't want to end up in heaven. But still I was curious. Janami, I know. Anityam Shevadhihi. Shevadhihi means this treasure of celestial life. This is called Shevadhi, treasure. Janami Anityam iti. I knew it was temporary. Tataha, even then, out of curiosity, Maya Chita Nachiketagnihi. Repeatedly, I kept offering this and doing this yajna in the fire again and again and again. And then what happened as a result? Now I am in the unenviable position. Adhruvaihi dravyaihi praptavan asmi nityam. I am enjoying an eternal life, all right. Eternal, still time bound, but a longer stretch of time. End of the yuga, end of the kalpa, whatever it is. But how did I get this eternity? By non-eternal means, dravyas. Non-eternal materials, like ghee. Is ghee eternal? No. Like pieces of wood? No. Like rice balls? No. Jaggery, whatever else, twigs, whatever you put in the fire is non-eternal, and the karma is also non-eternal because it's a starting point for the yajna. There is an ending point for the yajna, and so by non-eternal means I'm enjoying this so-called eternity. Look at me, I'm stuck in this. And what is the status? The status is not all that it primed up to be. I'm just in the celestial warehouse of jivas. So, after somebody passes away, what does Yama do? Put them on the assembly line of rebirth. Here, go. This one, okay. This one is already gained the knowledge. Like this. So therefore, even the celestials in the form of Vishnu, Yama, Indra, Varuna, Agni, they are there for 2 reasons. What are they? Sattvic nature and their own karma. That doesn't mean they have gained the knowledge. That's why there are many Upanishads that show poor Indra is a student in 2 or 3 Upanishads. In Kena Upanishad he is a student. In the Chandogya Upanishad also he is a student. In the Chandogya Upanishad, 8th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, he stays in the ashram of Prajapati for 105 years before he gains this knowledge. This is not to make us all depressed, okay? That story is told to make it inspiring for us. On the contrary, to make it inspiring for us. To inspire us. How? To say that some celestial figure like Indra, of the caliber of Indra, who is the king of heaven, stayed with the teacher for 105 years, so I am not exempt. I am still doing very well. It's to inspire us, not to make us feel depressed. Ayo, Indra couldn't get it. How can I get this knowledge? Better go home. Even before the retreat is finished, I will go home. No. It just shows that just because you end up in a celestial position where everybody is taking your name and all these things, that doesn't absolve you from this vichara. If you are a jiva, no matter how much good karma you have and you end up, how much sattvic nature you have, you end up as a celestial, you also have to gain this knowledge. Otherwise what happens? Vapas aega. You have to come back. Repeatedly, come back, come back, come back. And then, so therefore, this Uttama Deha, this exalted body of the celestial and the lowly body of the creepy crawly, some small little insect, especially in the rainy season, they come out, they go like this. What is that? Worms, earthworms. They go like that and get instant moksha under the feet of somebody in a hurry. So that body, and whether it's the body of this or whether it's the body of that, it's all because of Maya Shakti. This is happening, and this Maya Shakti has ensured that the same Brahman is in the body of the celestial. Masquerading as the body of the celestial, the same Brahman is in the jiva, as the jiva, shines as the jiva. Jiva doesn't know. That is why we started with the 5th verse first. Jiva doesn't know. Jiva is in bondage because jiva depends on validation from people. Why? Because the jiva doesn't know I am bound and I have to be free. Free of what? Even seeking validation, approval. And all this, whatever the jiva seeks, connection, approval, overcoming loneliness, overcoming fear, wanting some kind of a control over everybody, all this one can drop. Why? One is Advaya, Ananda, Purna. The first line of the first verse can be used for Nididhyasana. Keep repeating that, especially if you are having a jivic attack. If the jiva attacks, instead of Paramatma abiding, if the jiva attacks, what do you say? 3 magic words. What are they? Advaya, Purna, Ananda. These 3 things you keep telling yourself: non-dual, whole, and then limitless, limitlessly happy I am. They can be for contemplation. So then the same jiva enters all these inferior bodies and then bhajati. Bhajati means gains, experiences what? Mortality. Now what? Now we are not worried about the celestials. Why aren't we worried about the celestials? Because we are not celestials. Simple. We are who? Martyas. Martya means what? Subject to death. We are those upadhis whose bodies are subject to death. And because of wrong thinking, what do we think? I am subject to death. This has to be corrected. How? When? Why? Let's go to the next verse. Aneka janma bhajanat svavicharan chikirshati vicharena vinashtayam mayayam shishyate swayam. So, Panchadashikara, Swami Vidyaranya says that this recognition, what is the recognition? That I suffer from a notion of bondage cannot be immediately dropped. Alas. Before you say alas, let us look at the whole verse. When is it ripe for dropping? Aneka janma bhajanat. after living through many lifetimes. Why did you stop at many? Because you got the point. That's why. Otherwise, I'll have to be here all the time saying many. So, aneka technically means na ekaha. It could also mean 2 lifetimes. Why not take it as 2 lifetimes? Because that's not the purport of the verse. More like 2 million lifetimes. After living many lives, and in each life repeating the same pattern. What is the same pattern? Avichara, durvichara, bandha, and removing this bandha, this sense of bondage through various karma, which doesn't really compute, which is not the antidote. If supposing this, I will have the glasses here, and I forgot I put them there, and then I'm looking, where did the glasses go? And I go to a guru, please help me. And the guru says, meditate, stand on one leg, do some karma yoga, do some seva. Is that going to bring about the glasses? No. Maybe it will help me to remember indirectly. But why am I suffering from a loss of glasses? I'm suffering from the loss of glasses. Why? Because I don't know that they are fixed on top of the head. Similarly, Atma is myself, I don't know, and I keep looking for it everywhere. The antidote to this is what? Understanding. It's a cognitive shift. It's a cognitive pursuit. And so, aneka janma bhajanat. After living the life of a crocodile, the grabbing, biting thing, shark, crocodile, all these things, where only one is expending the karma, exhausting the karma, because any other life span other than the human being, you don't accrue karma, you are just letting go of previous karma. Ayyo, how many karmas I have? Don't ask. If you've had one life as a human being, there are infinite numbers of karma standing in the name of this particular jiva. I thought only Brahman is infinite. Yes, the karma is a close second, sanchita karma. But it is mithya. But I don't know it is mithya. Mithya means a dependent reality. I don't know it is dependent on me, and so therefore what do? I make the mistake of keeping on producing karma, and I don't like the karma phala. Karma phala means result of action. So I engage in action, and then I don't like the result of action. Then do I sit quietly? No, then I unleash even more actions in order to negate those results of action. And then I keep accruing all kinds of karma, lot of karma, lots and lots of karma. And then what happens? Then I have to take on many lifetimes, donkey, monkey, any other thing that is there, and then 4-legged, 2-legged, egg-born, moisture-born, mammal-born, plants, trees, all of them. Kathopanishad says this, that what is that? Yatha Shastram means according to what the Shastra says should be the next birth, and yatha karma yatha shrutam. Yonimanye prapadyante sharirattvaya dehinaha anye yonim prapadyante. Once the life has gone from this body, the subtle body survives, and then what does it do? Looks. Looks means what? Why does it look? Because it has a whole bagfuls of desires. In fact, it's overloaded. In the Sukshma Sharira plane, all these suitcases of desire are traveling for free without paying excess baggage. They're all going for free, enjoying themselves for free. And then what? Then you say, where, which is the biggest desire and which is the most predominant desire? That is what seeks the next body. Aha, yes. I have been very territorial my whole life. Anybody comes close to me or my things, I go, rrr. That is what. Next life, doggy. Next life, dog. So then the dog life looks very nice because all I can do, all I have to do is guard things. I'm not guarding my own things. That's a small little thing. That's okay. But I'm guarding. Wherever I'm placed, I'm on guard. Why? Because my whole life, previous life, I was on guard. I like to be on guard all the time. I suffer from hypervigilance and I'm extremely, as a result, territorial. And because of that, what? Woof, woof. Simple. Next life. And then there are some other strange desires. Oh, I never got, the disembodied jiva says, after saying bye-bye to this body, then the disembodied jiva thinks, I never got to go bungee cord jumping. Ayo. Bhagavan has a solution. Next life, spider. You have your own bungee cord. You can go up, you can go down, you can go nicely. Nice. Yeah. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet and you can scare everybody. Like this. So many karmas, so little time, OMG. And it is a big wonder that we have come in this human body. That is a huge wonder and a grace operating over time. Perhaps by mistake I attended one Vedanta class in my last life. Maybe not jignasa, I had curiosity. Like, I wonder what it will be like. Let me see. And then got what the author of the Viveka Chudamani says, Manushyatvam, the first grace has come upon me. I have this human life because you can't teach the dog. You can teach the dog new tricks, but you can't teach it Vedanta. Even though people tell me, my dog also takes your online classes. Yeah, the dog is taking the online classes. Why? Because you are sitting there. You get up and go, dog will also go. They say, no, and then they will put one iPad in front of the dog with my class streaming and send me that photo. Yeah. This is called anthropomorphizing the dog. Okay, let the dog be. Let the sleeping dog lie. And you get the knowledge. Don't worry about your dog getting moksha. Okay, you get moksha. Dog is fine. That's why the animal doesn't suffer. I mean, of course it suffers because it cannot express itself and it could be in the hands of certain cruel people who beat it and who throw stones and all kinds of things. It could happen. That's why it's called adhama sharira. Adhama deha means lowly bodies. Lowly bodies, not because we are making a gradation, the celestial body best, human body middle, and then all these other animal bodies lowly. Far from it. We are not making a judgment. Lowly in terms of not being able to defend themselves, not being able to protect themselves, not being able to laugh. That's a big loss. They cannot express joy, not being able to converse, not being able to have self-consciousness so that one can pursue this knowledge. That's why lowly. So Manushyatvam is the first grace that we encounter. Human being, to be born as a human being, very something to celebrate. Why? Adhikari Sharira. That's why when economists keep talking about population explosion, we just, the Vedanta teachers are very happy. More adhikari bodies. More bodies to study Vedanta. What's wrong with that? No, but they won't study. Hello, look at this verse. Aneka janma bhajanat. They have to go round. They have to make a lot of mistakes, these jivas. One human birth may not be enough. Because the bestial tendencies left over from previous lives will still be there, and they will follow this person life after life after life. It takes a long time. First is Manushyatvam. Then the next grace, which is because of Bhagavan's grace alone, is Mumukshutvam. I have to know I am unfree. I have to know that I am unfree. I have to know that I suffer from a sense of bondage. I have to know that there is sadhana, sadhya, asambandha. No connection between sadhana and sadhya. What is sadhana? The means that I am using to get what I want, and what I want are not talking to one another. It's like sitting in a plane and finding oneself in San Francisco when one wanted to go to New York. I want to go to New York, but then the pilot says, "Welcome to San Francisco." What? How did this happen? How did this happen? Let me try again. Next time also what happens? I land up somewhere else other than where I wanted to go. And in this manner, one is running around in circles. If the second M, first M is what? Manushyatvam. The second M is Mumukshutvam. I suffer from a sense of bondage centered on the I. This has to be recognized. And the recognition of that is called Mumukshutvam. A mumukshu is the one who is desirous of being free from this sadhana, sadhya, asambandha, from the ends and the means not meeting one another. That is the freedom I want, because no matter what I want, what I do, I don't get what I want. What is it that you want? I want to be happy, but the more I do, the unhappier I get. This viveka has to come. Now when the viveka comes, what happens? Vairagya has to come. Dropping of the things and pursuits that are dead end, that are not leading me to where I want. Viveka, Vairagya, and then the six pack. What is the six pack? Shama, Dama, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhanam. A resolved mind, Shama, tranquil mind. And if Shama is there, Dama is not necessary, but Shama is not always there, so Dama means commanding the mind through commanding the sense organs and the body. I discipline the body in order to discipline the mind. This is Dhamma. Uparati, letting go of small stuff, sweating the small stuff, letting go of trying to control everything. Uparati. Then letting go of the big stuff also. Titiksha. Ability to put up with discomfort for the sake of this teaching. Titiksha. Then Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Trust. Trust in the knowledge, trust in the teacher. If there is no trust, then sorrow will overpower, anger will overpower. This is what happens. So, Shraddha, and then finally Samadhanam. Samadhanam, focus. Not letting the focus away from this knowledge. No matter in what calamitous situation I am put in, I don't lose the focus. I come back to the teaching. If one is in a difficult, challenging situation, supposing one falls sick, some illness comes or some difficulty comes, what does one do? Immediately blame Vedanta. And people say this, until I started studying Vedanta, I was okay. And then, or they go away from Vedanta thinking, it is not working. In fact, it is working. That's how you are able to continue. It is working, but people think it is not working. Throw the baby with the Shastra. Baby is moksha, okay? So, I have to be a mumukshu. And that is the mumukshutvam, The desire to know that something is horribly wrong and I need to correct it. How do I correct it? Not by blaming the whole universe. It's your fault, it's your fault, it's their fault. It's the fault of the stars. Jupiter is in the wrong place. And then what else? Shani is, of course, in the really wrong place. Saturn is never in the right place. Shukra, Venus, is debilitated. That means what? I don't have money. So like this, one blames everything, except where the problem is one doesn't see. One has to do some introspection and stop blaming the universe and stop blaming oneself and see dispassionately that I am the problem. The problem is centered on I. Without judgment you see that. And I am therefore the solution. This is what has to be understood. All this is together called mumukshutvam. And then, finally, is this enough? No. This is M and M. It should be enough. One M, manushyattvam. Second M, mumukshutvam. What is the third M? Mahapurusha samshrayaha. Taking help from somebody who has gone on the same path, who has had a similar, similar trajectory, who was also a jiva and now has dropped jivatvam as a result of this knowledge. They are further along because they were taught by their teachers, who were taught by their teachers, who were taught by their teachers, until we go to Adi Guru Dakshinamurti. There's nothing else here. So I need help. And what kind of help I need? I don't need to be coddled. I don't need to be, made to feel good. I don't need the teacher to give me a lollipop. I don't need the teacher to say a few sweet words. What I need is the teaching. The teaching alone is going to make the difference. Even though the person thinks, I need to be coddled, I need to be pampered, I need all this attention, I need validation. You don't need any of those things. What do you need is the teaching. And that is exactly where one has to put the effort. Mahapurusha samshraya again is Daivanugraha hetukam, is because of the grace. Grace is what? Your own good karma is the grace. Having come to the teacher, don't waste the teacher. Don't waste the teacher by making the teacher into some kind of a babysitter for your pains and sorrows. Yeah, don't make the teacher into the babysitter. It's a waste of your time, it's a waste of the teacher's time as well. And so, use the teacher for freeing yourself from these pains and sorrows. Grow into the person who is able to free oneself, who is able to make the best use of the teacher. If you throw away the teacher, having gained the teacher after such a lot of work, whose work? Your own work. You have done the work to gain the teacher. And instead, you throw that opportunity away. And that would be a sad travesty. Very sad it would be. And so here, Aneka Janma Bhajanat is a very, very pregnant verse, full of, very laden with lot of meaning. Because of having taken so many births. Some of the births have been in vain. Nothing has happened. Some other births, like a half-hearted attempt has been made. Then finally in this birth, all three are present. Mumukshutvam. Am I a human being? Check. Okay? Manushyatvam. Check. Mumukshutvam. Do I desire freedom? Yes. Resounding yes. And then, am I in a situation where I can benefit from the teachings? Yes. Is the teaching available? Yes. That is all. That is what I need. This is the antidote. To understand that, that is what is the greatest blessing of all. That I am in the right place and in the right time In the right manner, I have to gain this knowledge. And so, aneka janma bhajanat swavicharam chikirshati. Finally, this not very bright jiva, not terribly bright jiva, comes to do swavicharam, self-enquiry. Swa, self. Vichara, enquiry. Why did it take so long? Because, that's how it is sometimes. The power of the raga dveshas carries over lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Makes the jiva a dull boy, a dull girl. And so even though one is in a human form, one can miss mumukshutvam, one can miss mahapurusha samshraya. So for all these three to come together, it's a great blessing. It's a moment of celebration. Finally, I'm in the right place at the right time, pursuing the right thing, thank God. Then finally, what does the jiva do? The jiva says, I think I will do self-enquiry. Fantastic. Join the fold. Very nice. And then, what happens as a result of the vichara is given in the next line. Vicharena, because of this vichara, vinashtayam mayayam, absolute locative construction, sati saptami, vinashtayam mayayam, when the maya is destroyed. When the maya is destroyed. Vinashtayam mayayam. And then swayam shishyate. That we'll see later. So vinashtayam mayayam. So the maya gets destroyed by what? Vichara. And we saw yesterday in the Gita class, we saw that there are two Shaktis of Maya. What are they? Avarana and then Vikshepa. Which Shakti gets destroyed here? Avarana gets destroyed, Vikshepa need not get destroyed. Avarana gets destroyed. Meaning, the scales of obfuscation of my own nature as Paramatma, Advaya, Purna, Ananda get destroyed. The scales of obfuscation that keep me from seeing the truth of myself get destroyed. All the notions, I am an idiot and I deserve this, I am subject to sorrow, I am subject to pain, I am subject to all kinds of things, which I take for real. Why? Because, I don't know, or even after being told, I don't want to listen. Both those reasons are there. I take it to be real. And then what happens as a result? I suffer. So for the suffering to go, the vichara has to be fruitful. The vichara is fruitful when it is conducted properly. The enquiry has to be conducted as we have seen already. We have covered a lot of ground. I don't have to repeat it. Pramana vichara. Vichara here means with the help of the teacher, with the help of pramana. Pramana vicharena vinashtayam mayayam. Finally, the scales of duality drop from the eyes and all that is there is Paramatma, Advaya, Ananda and Purna. How beautiful is this? Just the cataracts of ignorance are causing a vision of division. Dropping the cataracts is this self-enquiry, is the study of Vedanta, which helps me to let go of these notions. So I told you, Maya means when the Maya is destroyed means when the Avarana is destroyed. But the Maya, when it's destroyed, also takes care of my own Vikshepa. You see, this is very beautiful. On the collective level, there is Avarana and Vikshepa. What is Avarana? That which covers the minds of the jivas from seeing the truth of themselves as one with everything. That which covers the oneness is called Avarana. And what is Vikshepa? The projection of this one thing into as though many, many, many things is Avarana on the collective level. On the individual level also we have Vikshepa. What is Vikshepa? The vikshepa here means my own subjective projections. I am subject to anger. I am subject to this. This other person is an idiot. This person doesn't know anything. I know everything. And all these are feelings, emotions, thoughts, notions, whatever they may be, they are my own subjective projections. Because it is a maya within maya. It's a mithya within mithya. So within the global maya, universal maya, my personal maya is there, and then what is that? That causes me, the not knowing, the avarna of the collective maya, individually causes vikshepa, causes me to project things that are not there onto myself and others, and even onto Ishvara. That is one thing. Then I also on the individual level have avarna. What is that? The unconscious mind. That which is covered even from myself. Why does sorrow come? I don't know. Why does anger come? I don't know. I was fine until you came along. Seeing you, suddenly the anger came. What can I do? And what is the conclusion I draw? You go away and I'll be fine. Until it happens again with the next person, and the next person, and the next person. And then, if you are intellectually honest with yourself, you say, okay, this is not the other person's problem. This might be me. This might be me. And again, you have to see this with a certain compassion. You see that sorrow in yourself with a certain compassion. Why? Because it has just come out like a jack in the box. It has come and attacked me. The anger, the fear, the sorrow, and what we call these core issues. Where did this come from? Avarna, individual avarna, the unconscious mind, which is the truncated child that has not resolved its trauma. And not only has it not resolved the trauma, the inner child, it refuses to resolve the trauma. Why? Because it thinks it can eke out some things by going along with a mopey face. And sooner or later, somebody will say, are you okay? But if I resolve the inner child and I'm happy, smiling, nobody will look at me. They'll say, she's always all right, he's always okay. He doesn't need any attention. But the inner child will not allow that. The inner child will create some tamasha. What is tamasha? Drama. The inner child has gone to acting school. Yeah. It doesn't do, poor thing, it doesn't do it purposely. It's a desperate cry for help. It's a desperate cry for attention. But then you give it the attention, does it stop? No, it's a well of need. Why? Because it's a frozen need. That's why. It's a frozen need. A need that can never be fulfilled. Like the balloon that was popped by the elder sibling, the balloon that was given to you, but it was popped by the elder sibling or a relative when you were 2. Even at the age of 92, if your friends bring you 92 balloons, you will still be pining for that balloon. No, how could he do this? How could she do this? My balloon. This is what is called frozen need. This is the frozen need. This is what comes in the way of assimilating these teachings. This is the avarna and vikshepa on the individual level. So this avarna in the form of the unconscious causes me to have vikshepa, to paint my pain onto other people and all surfaces. I want to write my pain in bright red on every wall I can get. I become a graffiti artist. Publishing my pain, that is called vikshepa. And why is that? Because it is the avarna, because the childhood issues are not resolved and one refuses to resolve them for the fear that even the little attention that I am getting, I will not get. Nobody will even ask, how are you? They won't ask, they'll assume I'm all right. And so this, the resolution of Maya collectively means the resolution of the inner child integrated into the adult, which makes me when the Maya, collectively, when the Avarana is destroyed, my own Vikshepa also gets destroyed. I have to do some homework, that's all. All that we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.